Starfield may have had its ups and downs, but make no mistake, something big is coming. The signs are all there in the patch notes, in the leaks, in the words of the developers themselves. Bethesda is building towards the next chapter of Starfield, and while the critics may be yelling dead game, the reality tells a different story. Greetings, passengers, this is your captain speaking. Welcome back to the channel, where we usually talk about ultra-modded Starfield and how to create a solid load order for yourself. But today, I wanted to discuss what could possibly be going on with Starfield behind the scenes. Let's set the stage. Starfield launched to massive hype in 2023. It broke Xbox Game Pass records, pulled millions of players, and became Bethesda's biggest launch ever. But the shine didn't last. Bugs, performance issues, and a lack of depth in certain systems quickly became the focus of online discussion. And the internet did what the internet does best. It piled on. Dead game memes, comparison to No Man's Sky, and a constant drumbeat of negativity. But here's the thing, Bethesda didn't walk away. They're just playing their cards close to their chest. We've gotten updates, the Shattered Space expansion, and even after long stretches of silence, the developers kept reassuring fans that Starfield was still a living, breathing project.
Hey everybody, Kellen here. If you're new around here, I'm basically the guy who shows up to make sure that we don't drown in doom and gloom. Think of me as the unpaid intern of optimism. Or sarcasm. Mostly sarcasm. Be sure to like and subscribe on this video, and also that new hype button, otherwise Captain Swurv will be crying in a space helmet again.
For the record, nothing Kellen says has ever made me cry. Now, let's take a look at what's been going on. The latest patch, version 1.15.222, dropped in August. On paper, it was tiny, stability tweaks, UI adjustments, minor fixes. The kind of update most people just scroll past without a second thought. But hidden in those notes was one very deliberate line, and I quote, "We're continuing work on future updates and will share more about the exciting things we have planned for Starfield in the coming months." End quote. That is not filler text. Bethesda didn't have to say that. The patch itself was small, but the language said a lot more. It's a promise that the silence we are currently in isn't going to last forever. I am in full agreement that the game needs more, but I try to remain patient. Meanwhile, while Bethesda chooses silence, we can always look to leaks and rumors to sustain our curiosity. Insiders like Jez Corden have claimed Bethesda's core team is still working on Starfield expansions in parallel with the Elder Scrolls 6. Other leakers like Nate the Hate suggest that the next expansion won't arrive in 2025, which lines up with Bethesda's slow burn approach. There's also these rumored DLC titles floating around, Starborn, Terran Armada, and in fact, Bethesda themselves practically winked at fans during the 2-year anniversary. Hidden in a glitched message was the phrase, Terran Armada. Now, this is all conjecture at this point about what this whole Terran Armada thing is about. I've got my hopes about it. Others in the community worry that it's a paid creation and that the evil Bethesda is only here for the microtransactions. But this is another talk for another day. Really, I guess what I don't understand is why the silence is so awful for some folks. Me personally, I'm having plenty of fun with the game in the meantime. Mods keep me occupied. To me, the game's not dead.
Dead game? Really? Funny, because every time I log in, there's more players, more mods, and more cube-shaped food for everybody. If that's what dead looks like, then I guess we need to redefine the dictionary. But hey, don't let reality get in the way of a good Reddit meltdown.
And Kellen's not wrong. The dead game narrative ignores that there's actual work still being done. And it's not just rumors. In a recent developer spotlight, lead producer Tim Lamb confirmed that part of the Starfield team has been focused specifically on improving space gameplay. Not just fixing bugs, but enhancing the core loop of space travel to make it more rewarding. That's not maintenance, that's a reinvestment. He went further, saying free updates are coming that will add features fans will have been asking for a long time, alongside new story DLC and even new game systems. Let's be clear, Bethesda doesn't put developers on experimental new systems unless they believe the game has a future. This isn't a studio patching a sinking ship, It's a studio preparing for the next voyage. Let's zoom out for a moment. Bethesda's parent company, Microsoft, has been restructuring, closing some studios and consolidating resources. When cuts happen, what survives is telling. In Starfield, it's still here. It's still staffed. It's still funded. At the same time, Microsoft has softened its stance on exclusivity. Phil Spencer himself said there are no red lines anymore, which means a Starfield release on PlayStation 5 or even Nintendo's next console is no longer out of the question. Imagine it. A major expansion bundled with a PS5 released, announced in one big showcased event. That's not wishful thinking. That's a strategy. So let's take a second and connect some dots. Bethesda is teasing exciting things ahead in their small patches. Insiders and leaks all point to expansions in development, with 2026 as the likely release window. Developers are openly working on new systems to improve core gameplay, and Microsoft may be lining up a platform expansion to supercharge the player base. On their own, each of these things could be dismissed as minor, but together they paint a very clear picture. Starfield is not winding down, it's gearing up. Now, I'm not trying to be here to super overhype everything. We can be fair. There's a chance that something slips, a chance Bethesda's plans change. We all know game development timelines are fluid, and yes, the negativity around Starfield isn't going away overnight. But if you followed Bethesda for any length of time, you know that this is their rhythm. Long quiet stretches followed by big swings. Skyrim, Fallout, even Shattered Space followed that exact pattern.
So, let me get this straight. Bethesda's teasing expansions, rewriting space travel, maybe dropping Starfield on PlayStation, and the haters are still screaming, dead game. At this point, I think they're just mad that their toaster won't run Creation Engine 2.
And that's really the point. Starfield isn't winding down. It's gearing up. So when people come and tell you that, haha, Starfield is dead, you can go ahead and laugh with them if you want, but don't believe it. All the signals point the other way. Something big is coming. The only question is, when Bethesda finally opens the airlock, will you be ready to step through? Hey folks, thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then I have great news. There's a button for that. Go ahead and hit that like button. And also there's this new hype feature, which seems like a great way for you to help the channel if you like. I'm sure there's also a subscribe button around here somewhere that you can click so you can stay up to date with my videos and live streams. If you enjoy ultra modded Starfield, be sure to stop by a live stream. The chat and I always have a good time, and it'd be great to have you there too. Links to my socials will be below in the description. Thank you again for watching. As always, be sure to stay tuned, stay modded, and stay awesome. Cheers.